Hello, everyone. I had something different planned for today, but things take priority, don't they? So, if you hadn't heard by now, we found out yesterday, December 26, 2021, that Derrick J. Wyatt had passed away. He passed away earlier this month. The family delayed letting it out there. I presume not to spoil Christmas for a lot of Transformer fans, a lot of fans of his work, because the man did a lot. He was involved in Scooby-Doo and Ben 10 and loads of other animation projects. The guy had a lot of talent and quite a resume. Yeah, it's a terrible loss, just absolutely unexpected. Amazing, wonderful guy. I had the pleasure of sitting down. He sat in for a episode of WTF at TFW over at TFW 2005. If you want to hear the episode, I linked it over on Twitter. Yeah, it's just, yeah, amazing person. Aside from just how creative the man is, genuine Transformer fan. One of the first people who went into the Transformers production side of things that was genuinely a fan. Grew up with it, absolutely loved it. Yeah, so he was definitely one of us, and it's a terrible loss. Yeah, because what he brought to the table was so unique. His art style is so distinct and gave Transformers a flair that is incredibly unique to the franchise. And I feel like it's one of the last times Hasbro was actually willing to take a chance and willing to be a little bit more daring with their product in a way that I really wish they do now. So I'm not gonna wax poetic. I'm not gonna go over his career. No. I thought today I would just sit back and look at his body of work in Transformers, and we'll just go over some of my favorite designs from animated. There's a lot of them. I don't want to miss out any, because I could talk about every design. I really could, but we'd be here all day. And yeah, so no Patreon shoutouts, no begs for anything, no monetization. This is just, let's just enjoy what the man gave us, okay? So the first one I picked out was Prowl, and specifically the samurai design. Now, I already liked Prowl in his initial design, and it's so different for Prowl to go gold and black when that's almost opposite of what we're used to him, being primarily white with the little hits of black here and there. This, such a different take, and to go with the ninja and samurai motifs to him, really different, but suited him. I thought it was an interesting take on the character, especially, because it's mostly Prowl in name, but the spirit of the character is somewhere in there. I think it's a very interesting blend and a very interesting take on the character. Now, obviously, Derrick, he was the director on the show. He's the art director, but he did have a lot of influence in what happened with the characters and who got picked and all that. But just looking at the design, I love the sharp looks. I love gold and black together. Of course, gold and black together is like a golden combination. You just can't get it. You can't get that wrong. I also kind of like the beige. I kind of like the beige thighs to him. Looks like he's got like police pants on through all of it. All right, so moving on, we have to talk about one of Derrick's absolute favorites in Swindle. Yeah, he made sure Swindle got a really, really good time in this show. Voiced by Fred Willard, which was a perfect choice. He is very much the used car salesman type, right down to having that little string bow tie that a Texas used car salesman would probably be seen wearing in some stereotypical depiction. Yeah, he looks great. I love that he took one of his favorite characters and completely redeveloped him into something that looked like he had nothing to do with a combiner. He just stood on his own. Because Swindle was one of the few combiner characters that did stand on his own. So it was really, really cool to see Derrick give him some justice and really, really cast the character in a new solo venture. Really love this design. The big claw hands, the big cannon on the arm. Which is interesting, because usually Megatron is usually the only one to get a big arm cannon, because that's his thing. So it's actually interesting to see Swindle. Though if you were a weapons dealer, you'd keep the biggest gun to yourself, too, wouldn't you? Let's go to probably the most popular thing, I think, that was designed. Lugnut. How do you not love Lugnut? First off, unique design. It's a Cyclops with claw hands. The only time we get that was G1 Whirl, who wasn't even an official Transformer character or design. Let's say it's not an official design since it was a borrowed mold. So to actually get that in a normal one, in an actual Transformer, yes. I love the massive amount of bulk to him. Love the extra guns hanging off him. Love the color palette, like that military steel and purple work really, really well. More teal in the toy line, but that still worked. That still worked well. And yeah, character-wise, how can you not love Lugnut, a dumb Decepticon who absolutely loved his leader. And you don't get enough Decepticons that are just 100% loyal to their Megatrons. I could go on. We could go on with the poke and all the other things that made him great. I love the design idea of those caution stripes around his fists. If anything tells you that this guy is a bruiser, it is caution stripes around his arms. That's perfect. Love that design. Yes, I'm throwing a hotshot in here. Derrick designed what I thought was an extremely cool take on hotshot. It deviates him enough from Bumblebee to make the two completely distinct, but also has enough elements of his Armada appearance that you can actually tell who it is. And the light blue blends in a little bit of his Cybertron design as well. I think it's a really cool blend of the first and final, essentially finals, hotshot design from the Unicron trilogy, and still does enough to push itself away from Bumblebee. Great design. Really wish we got to see it a little bit in the show. So yeah, could not get enough of this design. Wish we had gotten more of it. Wish we had gotten the toy. The toy looked so cool. All right, moving on. Probably one of the most famous. Now, Bulkhead is, again, an extremely unique design. That huge, heavy set character, huge arms going almost all the way down to the ground. Big, short, stubby legs. This is not something you typically see in Transformers. Transformers are very much just normal humanoid shape. Oh, and hey, the new Bulkhead coming out is normal humanoid shape. Good job, designers. But this was unique. This was special. We kind of loved the big lug that he was. The design, I love that the design stands out so much that they reused it for Prime. I love any time that someone on Transformers can create something that escapes its original fiction. And Bulkhead did that handily, not only becoming a main character in the next Transformer cartoon, but also making it into the comics and a little bit in the comics, but also to the live-action verse. Yeah, that's supposed to be Bulkhead. You can't tell me, you cannot tell me that Hound in Age of Extinction and Last Night, you cannot tell me that's not supposed to be Bulkhead. You can't. You can't. Certainly is not Hound. But this, yeah, this was so good. This was such a good design. Hi, Sentinel. So, he's written to be the best kind of prick. You love to hate Sentinel Prime because he's just such an egomaniac. He's such a jackass. You have to love how good he is at making you hate him. Design-wise, I do love that he's based on the Tick, because that's who's voice acting him. It's the same voice actor. The huge chin definitely stands out. I think the chin helps that pompous nature to him as well. He looks like he is incredibly full of himself. And I like the idea, like a snowplow Transformer does not sound exciting in any way, but the way that this is blocked out with the big heavy tires for his shoulders and the extra, the wedge, the scoop on the actual plow, let's call it the actual plow. The plow forming the armor around his shoulders is perfect. This is someone who thinks very highly of himself, and also does not want to get himself blown up. Really, really cool design. And again, another character that managed to escape, though he didn't maintain his design the way Bulkhead did. Another one who escaped without retaining design, though actually not true. We got to see, ironically, we got to see Lockdown with not lugnut in Cyberverse. Appropriate that the two designs of Derrick Wyatt were friends in that show. Or completely intentional. You can't not love this design. I mean, it's sharp, it's sleek, it's creepy. You know, it's great for the bounty hunter look. You got a little bit of you got a little bit of Lobo in the face design. I really love that, and the asymmetry is perfect. So Lockdown, his whole thing was how he was kind of hodgepodge from different parts that he had taken off of his victims. So he's completely asymmetrical, which looks great. He's a bunch of different colors as a result, because he's just picking and choosing the best parts, no matter what it looks like on his body. And it gives him such a unique character profile. You know, he has no concern for he doesn't have a concern for his body or any kind of style. All he cares about is what's the best and what makes him the most efficient hunter. That's all he wants. And that is so, to convey that in a visual design is really, really cool. Also really cool is to convey the fact that he has no allegiance except to the one who benefits him the most at the time. You can see on his chest he's got a rub sign that has no visible emblem. That is to designate him as not only a switch hitter for both sides, but also that he really doesn't care. He doesn't care about this war. He's not Autobot. He's not Decepticon. He's whoever pays me the most of the time. And you know what? That again makes him unique amongst Transformers. And again, I love that it's visually conveyed in the way that Derrick designed him. This might be one of my favorite Megatron designs of all time. I love Super Megatron, and I was always bummed that we never got any incarnation of him in the US. We just now got one in Generation Selects, but the closest we got was this incarnation in animated, and it looked so cool. Of course, it's so much G1 Megatron, but the elements that it adds, the more pronounced helmet, the taller shoulders, the beefier cannon, he is what I would think of as, you know, Megatron powered up and more threatening and more dangerous and more powerful. It's a really nice design. This is where you can keep it very close to how he originally looked. You can have it G1 design, you know, right down to like having the eyebrows that are just under the ridge of the helmet. All of that's perfect, but it's so much in that G1 design, but those little elements that add to it and make it unique and stand out, that's another tricky skill for an artist, to be able to make you see the original, but just touch it up enough to make it their own, and still see where that inspiration came from. There's a lot of subtlety working in the design. That's why it stands out to me. And again, I just love that he gave us a Super Megatron. You know, of all Megatrons to create, he made that one. And I love that he did that. Probably my favorite character to make it out of the original, the animated cast. Slipstream is what the Decepticons needed. A de facto female that had a very unique sense to her. She's very much in it for herself. She has her own agenda, and a really cool look. So Derrick admitted that he wasn't thinking G2 Ramjet when he came up with the color scheme, though it is very close to G2 Ramjet. He was actually thinking Overlord and Mega, the female Power Master. I'll call it a Power Master just so you know what I'm talking about. It is a God Master. So the design itself was inadvertently in G2 colors, But the character itself was the interesting thing. I think because he talked about it so much, I think Derrick had input on this. So the idea behind Slipstream was you weren't supposed to know. Starscream clones and animated, they all had some aspect of Starscream that they represented. His cowardice, his humor, his treachery. But this was an enigma. No one in the show could figure out what side of Starscream a female represented. And for years, Derrick got hounded on Twitter for years over what that female Starscream was supposed to be. Who, like what element of Starscream is that? Is it his feminine side, his sarcastic side? And Derrick never said. So, and to the point where instead of arguing, he would, and no matter what, when someone posted on Twitter, and when someone sent him the question, whatever theory they came up with, he'd just say, yes, that's it. And then that makes it even more confusing what she was supposed to represent. Now, canonically, she has to represent something. In the meta, she was never supposed to represent anything. She was just supposed to get people talking. And she did. For years, we were talking about Slipstream and what she actually was. What she is now is the go-to female seeker and one of the few female Decepticons to reoccur in media. Actually, really liked what Cyberverse did with her. I really thought they, I thought they had a good thing going with her, and then they cut it a little bit short for my tastes. So I'm hoping Slipstream makes a really strong comeback in another series soon, because I really do love the character and the concept and the origin of her. Not to mention, it's just a super cool look for a Seeker-style bot. Safeguard, Jetstorm, and Jetfire combined. So this is there's no official confirmation, but because of the certain elements about it, because of the way it combines, and because of certain animation elements that go into it when he does combine, the speculation is that he is an homage to Gal Gaigar and the symmetrical docking bots in that show, which I mean, I absolutely see it. Of course you do. As soon as you see that he's half and half, left half, right half combiner, that's what you have to think if you know Gal Gaigar. I don't know if Derrick ever intended for that, but it's the speculation and it's the obvious thing. And there are other animation cues to show that there is some brave behind this design. Again, extremely unique look for a Transformer. Probably one we're never going to see again. I don't imagine this style or this character is ever going to make a return in a modern toy. And I kind of wish it would, because the original one had a lot of issues that I think you really could have cleaned up in a modern take on it. But this is definitely one that stands out as, like, that is just pure animated. Like, that just stands out so much. Also, I love that he took the inspiration, and he saw those names, Jetstorm and Jetfire, and saw how similar they were and decided to do something with it. That's cool. Because throughout Transformers fiction, you didn't see anyone do that. You know, this is again, that's something to know about animated, is like partially because of Derrick and his love of the original fiction and the old cartoon. He put in so many references, so many past characters, so many homages. It was a love letter to the entire franchise. And we owe a lot of that to Derrick and just how much of a nerd he was for Transformers. So this stood out to me a lot. I can't do this list without my boy Blitzwing. I was not certain I was going to like the three-face gimmick and making him kind of like a gimmicky little character, but obviously, like, Blitzwing was a trip. Anytime the chaotic face came out, it was just amazing. And yeah, I love the design on this Blitzwing. Heavy shoulders are always like tall shoulder pauldrons are always a way into my heart design-wise. And the twin cannons up the shoulders, good. Wing pack, good. And yeah, super clean, super clean. I think designing a character that could so easily go into a triple changing toy that is actually very, very clean triple changing toy is extremely impressive. Love this. He's got a little bit of like there's some little drapings of like a desert fighter with the goggles and the long helmet going down. You know, it kind of defies his original design a little bit, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. It makes him his own thing. You know, it's not like it's not like all these Optimus Primes that look the same. You have to kind of pick them out. Even if you designed Blitzwing in this style in another series, and we did, Generations did this. You can automatically tell just that is the animated Blitzwing. Just because of that. And those little touches to make even an old design flash, that's Derrick. That is cool. This is one of my favorite recreations I think I've ever seen. I love this design for Ultra Magnus. Love the hammer as this big like authority symbol. Love the huge shoulders. To replace those big tall shoulder pylons. So this still creates a similar silhouette without having like these big long things hanging off his shoulders. Super powerful looking design. He looks like a commanding officer. It's absolutely perfect. I completely, like, in the absence of Optimus Prime being the absolute leader of the Autobots, I absolutely believe this as a Autobot leader of extremely high regard and magnitude. Awesome design. And one of my favorite animated toys, too. I love the redesign on his vehicle mode as well. The big missile carrier truck with the big laser cannons on the back. Awesome looking. Absolutely awesome looking. This was such a standout design for me, toy and show-wise. And we wrap it up with my favorite design in animated. And that means we're talking about Blur. Oof. I love a sharp design. I love a sleek, sharp design, and it fits Blur so well. Love, again, we got the tall shoulder thing, but these shoulders come into a big spiking point at the back. He looks super sleek, looks super fast. I love the Trans-Tech Cheetor elements that survive, because this design is inspired by Trans-Tech Cheetor. Derrick wasn't just a G1 fan. He loved all of Transformers, so he threw a little bit of Trans-Tech in. I love it. The wheel feet, again, super unique. Definitely like his own take on Blur, but still with enough of the original elements to where if you hadn't seen anime before and I didn't tell you that this was Blur, you could still easily tell that this was supposed to be Blur. But yeah, it's just such a sharp piece, and then to make a toy that works as well as it does, so good. Yeah, the designs in animated are so distinct and so unique and so good. I so wish Hasbro had this level of courage again. I was always kind of hoping that Derrick would get another round to do something in Transformers, given that he had so much to do with animated, and animated seemed to go over so well. The cartoon is very well remembered amongst fans as being like just really high quality, and the characters, obviously, out of most Transformer fiction, I think animated has the most character designs and concepts that have escaped into other Transformer media, be it comic books, other cartoons, and yeah, even the live-action movies. So it's a huge impact on the franchise, and I think that is something that's. I hope Derrick was just aware of just how much of an impact his design work and his concepts had on Transformers as a whole. It's very. I could be doing this another 10 years. I could be mocking Transformers. I could be screaming about translucent plastic. I'm never going to affect this franchise. Much as I love Transformers, as much as I've dedicated my life to knowing about this franchise, I'm never going to do anything that is going to affect this franchise forever. It's like literally like you're looking at like a dozen people, a dozen fans that can say that they've done that, whether they became a designer at Hasbro or a developer for a cartoon. Derrick was one of the first people who could say that, and he brought so much good into Transformers when he got the opportunity. So that's what I got. That's what I got. And thank you guys for watching. Go watch some animated. I don't even know where it's streaming right now or if it is streaming, but go find it. Go watch it. It's good. It's great. I need to see if I still own any animated toys. I really, really want to play with a few right now. All right. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Derrick.